start watercolor painting, you only need these 5 things. Let's go through them. Hello, I'm Kate, I'm a watercolor artist, and welcome to my channel where we are all about being bold and trying something new. Together, we will break down watercolor concepts so you can feel empowered to dive into the wonderful world of watercolor and make a splash. What's the deal with all the different types of watercolor paint? I'm here to tell you. Beautiful piece of art you made. It's so colorful, it's so bold, you were so brave. Are you gonna mess up? Probably. But are you gonna learn something new with every mistake that you make? Absolutely. Today I'm gonna let you know the 5 things that you need to start watercolor painting. First thing you're gonna need is watercolor. Watercolors come in a lot of different forms and have a lot of different properties, but you can start with something as basic as the Crayola set from your grocery store. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. If you're wanting to kind of kick it up a notch and see how it goes, there are tons of sets at your local Michael's or wherever that can really allow you to play with watercolor. If you're curious about the specific supplies that I'm mentioning in this video, go ahead and check out my supply list where I have linked everything that I'm talking about today. My personal recommendation is the Cotman watercolor set. This is great for beginners who are wanting to practice mixing different colors, and the quality of paint is great. I personally love Winsor & Newton. It's what I use in my own watercolor. I use their professional grade, but the Cotman watercolor set is perfect for beginners. And it's a good price point too. Number 2, you're going to need paper. We gotta paint on something, right? So watercolor paper comes in a lot of different varieties. And if you're gonna splurge on anything, it should be the paper. The cool thing that you're looking for with watercolor paper is its ability to keep the water on the page. So the reason why printer paper or construction paper isn't gonna work is because it absorbs the water into the page. A good watercolor paper, you will be able to see the water sitting on top of the page, but it's not gonna seep out. That's the mark of a good watercolor paper. So watercolor paper can get pretty expensive, but there are some really great brands that are super affordable. My favorite is the Artisto brand, and I bought it on a whim for my daughter, and I just love it. It's really excellent for the price, and you really can't go wrong. If you're looking to snazz things up a little bit, my personal favorite is Arches paper, 140-pound cold press. If all those words sound like I'm speaking a foreign language, don't worry, we'll link to a blog post that I have about watercolor paper that breaks it down for you. Number 3. Number 3, watercolor brushes. You're gonna need brushes to paint your beautiful pictures. So watercolor brushes come in so many different varieties. My personal favorite, especially for beginners, is getting a round brush. A round brush is really versatile because you can use the tip, the very, very tip, to do small details, and then you can use the belly of the brush to fill in larger spaces. I really recommend Princeton's Real Value brush series. They've got an excellent pack of watercolor brushes to get you started, and it's gonna cover all your basic needs as you're beginning. Number 4, you're gonna need a palette. A palette is what you put your paints on and mix your colors all together. Some watercolor sets will come with a palette already in the little lid, and others might not have that. But guess what? You can just use a plate from your kitchen. I personally recommend ceramic, but you can also use plastic. My one thing that I will say is really helpful is if your surface is white, so you can really see the colors that you're mixing. If the plate is blue and you're mixing up a yellow, it might be hard to see because it's gonna look kind of green. So just try to use a white surface for your watercolor palette. You can also buy a fancy one, and I have a ton of really beautiful ones linked in the supply list. The 5th thing that you're gonna need for watercolor is super easy. I know you have this at home. Are you ready for it? Water! That's right. You just need some tap water, throw it in a cup, and you are ready to paint. You've got your brushes, you got your paper, you've got your paints, you've got your palette, and you have your water. If you are ready to start on your watercolor journey, definitely check out my free Watercolor Basics video. It's going to take you through all the basic types of brush strokes to get you started on your watercolor journey. Check out the link below. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you ever have any questions about watercolor, be sure to drop a comment so that I can maybe address it in a future video. Happy painting, friends!